Joker, Folie, Deux, the highly anticipated sequel to Todd Phillips' 2019 psychological comic book drama, is a bold swing that doesn't quite connect with the ball. While it's not a complete strikeout, it's far from the home run that its brilliant predecessor was. Phillips and his team deserve credit here for not simply rehashing the first film, and their creativity in this is not to be downplayed. Still, you're either going to love Joker Folie à Deux or hate it, although I'm afraid to say I think the lion's share will fall down on the side of hate. The film might in time come to be a lesson for budding filmmakers around not pushing your creativity beyond the bounds of what your audience is likely to take. But we'll come back to that. So, Folie à Deux tells the story of what happens to Arthur Fleck, the Joker, played again here by Joaquin Phoenix, after the murderous events at the end of the first film. Incarcerated now, Fleck is doing his best to live as a model prisoner awaiting his trial when he meets a young woman locked up at the same hospital named Lee, soon to become Harley Quinn, played by Lady Gaga. The pair strike up the expected relationship, getting to know each other through the difficulties of prison life and discovering a shared love of music. Their relationship continues after Lee is released, and Fleck's trial begins. As Arthur wrestles with what he's done, the court case and his new persona as the Joker, he finds out from his lawyer that his new love might not be all that she seems. Will Fleck manage to win out over his alter ego, or will the dangerous Lee lead him down that murderous path once more? It's worth getting out of the way before we move on to the bad stuff with Folie à Deux that the lead performances in this film are just as good as they were in the first. Joaquin Phoenix doesn't have anywhere near as high a quality material to work with this time, but when he is given the chance to flex his acting chops, he's just as good as he was when he won an Oscar. The courtroom scenes particularly involving him are strong, and the film would have benefited from giving him more of a chance to shine. The introduction of Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn initially breathes life into the story. Gaga delivers a solid performance, as she does in every film I've seen her in, but a character's relationship with Arthur, which should be the emotional core of the film, failed to resonate with me, I'm afraid to say. I don't blame Gaga for that, more the pacing and the movie's strange structure, but it does mean she failed to soar in the way she perhaps could have done with a better script. The film looks as good as the first one, maybe even a little better with all of the glamorous and colourful musical numbers. Again, Folie à Deux just exudes style from minute one, and I can't wait to see more of Todd Phillips' movies if this is what he's capable of. Unfortunately, that's where the positives for this second Joker movie end. You see, the biggest issue with Folie à Deux, and it's a pretty mammoth in storytelling terms, is its lack of a clear desire line for Arthur. In the first film, we understood his motivations, his struggles, his descent into madness. Here, he's oddly passive, with Lee driving most of the action. It's hard to shake the feeling that this isn't quite the same character we followed in the original. The film's structure is heavily disjointed too, to the point where it almost feels like you're watching three movies stitched together. A prison drama, a musical, yes you heard that right, and a courtroom thriller. While each of these elements has potential, they never coalesce into a satisfying whole. It's clear that somebody saw La La Land around the time they were coming up with the concept for Joker 2 and thought, we'll have a bit of that. Only problem is, what worked in the context of glitzy LA just feels completely out of place in dour Gotham City. The pacing suffers as a result, with a particularly slow first act that struggles to build momentum. This disjointedness is the overarching theme of Joker Folie à Deux. You can't help but feel that the filmmakers struggled with where to take Arthur's character after such a definitive origin story. Without Batman as an antagonist, and they were obviously going to avoid going in that direction, the film lacks a clear focus. What's the point of it? What's its message? It ends up feeling more like a 2-hour epilogue to the first film than a fully realised sequel. There are clever bits of storytelling sprinkled throughout, and like the first one, it does touch on some interesting themes about the nature of fame, psychosis, and the power of movements. But these ideas never crystallise, lost in the muddle of competing tones and narrative threads. The ending, while unequivocal, leaves you with more questions than answers. Has it all been a commentary on the cyclical nature of evil? A statement about the Joker as a concept rather than an individual? It's hard to say, and harder still to care after the meandering journey that preceded it. In the end, Joker Folie à Deux is a fascinating misfire. It's a film that takes big risks, which is commendable in an era of safe formulaic sequels, but those risks don't pay off often enough in this one to elevate the film beyond a curiosity. It's not the absolute disaster that I've heard some of the corners of the internet call it, but it's far from the masterpiece fans of the first film might have hoped for. Phillips and his team have proven they're willing to push boundaries and experiment with the form, but in doing so they've lost sight of what made the first Joker so compelling, a laser-focused character study. This sequel, for all its style and ambition, lacks that crucial element. It's a swing and a miss, but hey, at least they swung. Anyway, nothing more to say. This is Movie Maverick signing out.